Hi, my name's Michelle. I've lived in this area of town my whole life. I grew up off of Arrowhead and now I live by Aubrey Park.
Great, thank you. Fred Miller.
Hi, I live on Norman Avenue, also across the street from Chelsea, and I've lived here about 40 years.
Welcome, thank you. Risha.
Well, I live on Norman Avenue too, just down the street from Fred and Charles Lee, and I'm fresh from Hawaii and freezing my you know what off. It's too cold here. I've been here since 2018 and back on the island back and forth. So it's nice to be back, but where's the warm weather?
All right.
Right.
Susan Kittleson.
Hello, Susan Kittleson, and I have lived in the neighborhood for 7 months, and I live on LK. And I am a member of the board.
Thank you. The Gertz, please.
You want to speak up?
Well, hi. We've lived on Park Avenue for 46 years and been attending the group meetings. Well, I don't know, 6, 7 years now.
Whatever. Sure.
Something like that.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Well, glad to have you. Sandra Gladney.
Hi, everybody. I live off of Arbor with my wife, who's out of town right now, and we've been here for 23 years. And I thank you for having this meeting via Zoom because I've been homesick today with a fever and congestion, and I wouldn't have gone to an in-person meeting. So this is working out great. So thank you.
Fingers crossed that you have a rapid recovery. Dan Isaacson.
Hello, Dan Isaacson. I live over on Hatton Avenue. I have done so for 2 years, and I am a board member.
Great. Also on our board. Sandra Gladney.
Did Sandra?
Yeah,
I did, I'm sorry. People bounce around.
Sorry about that.
Joshua Giles.
Hi, yes, Joshua Keelis. I live over on Fairway Drive for about 5 years now.
Good. Ex-board member, very important person in the community. Chava Cronin.
Hi, my name is Chava Cronin.
Forgive me.
That's okay. I lived first on Horn Lane in 1991 and moved to off of Brentwood, on Brentwood, off of Grove and Maxwell in 2001.
Good, welcome. Kat Allison.
Hey, John, this is Kat. I am a native River Roader. I just turned 53, so that's how long I've been here. I live off Arbor.
Arbor, right. Carol Hockman.
He sounds ill too. I think.
Hi, that's Carol Hochman, and I live on Norman Avenue for the last 4.5 years, across the street from Fred Miller, down the street from Risha, almost across the street from Charles C.
Charissa Nelson.
Hi, my name's Carissa Nelson.
I'm doing terrible tonight. I'm sorry.
It's okay. I currently live in the Santa Clara neighborhood. I've been here off of Irvington for 22 years. And prior to that, I lived on Labana Drive off Maxwell for 11 years. And I'm here out of interest. And also I volunteer with the River Road Santa Clara Volunteer Library.
Good.
Okay, I have Emily Martinez.
Hi, everyone. I'm Emily Martinez. I just moved to Santa Rosa Street last year, so I've been here a little bit less than a year. And yeah, I'm so happy that the neighborhood has an organization like this. So thank you all.
Great, welcome to the club. Let's see, who have I got still? B and Marv.
Hi. We just got in, so.
Okay, tell us who you are, what area you live, and how long you've been in the neighborhood, please.
B and my husband Marv, and we live on Horn Lane, and we've been in the area for 20 years.
All right, thank you.
There we go.
Chuck,
Okay. Okay.
Chuck, I don't have a last name for you, so looks like you're still connecting. Let's go to Drew and I'll come back to Chuck.
Yeah, where do I get, this
Yeah.
is always the problem, trying to figure out where to get.
The view. If he hits this, does it?
Welcome to the world of Zoom. Let me let you figure that out and I'll go to Ellen Rifkin and I'll come back to you. And if I don't, remind me.
Hi, my name is Ellen. I live on Canoop Lane. And I've been in the neighborhood for about 16 or 17 years.
Okay, Dylan, I won't try your last name, guy screwing everybody else's up.
Someplace I gotta
Right
share.
here, right here,
Oh,
here,
we
right
go.
here.
That's okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
Dylan
is.
Gregerson, Dylan and Sherry, and we just moved onto Hilliard Lane.
All right, welcome.
Yeah.
Okay, let me find the last folks I don't have.
John, sorry
Yes.
to interrupt. Julie Hume is waiting to get in.
Okay, thank you. I have to do many things at once. Thanks. Appreciate that. There's a whole bunch of people waiting to get in. Jan Wooling.
Progress.
John,
Jan,
if you make somebody a co-host, they can also help let people in while you
Okay.
work on other things.
Oh, they're trying to let people in. Okay, I guess I need to plug in my headphones. That stupid meeting.
Joshua, can I ask you to do that?
Sure, you'd have to make me a co-host, but
Yeah, I will.
Carlene asked everybody to come, so we're here.
Okay, thank you. Keith Higgins, have I asked you to introduce yourself yet?
Yes, thank you. Keith Higgins, monitoring the meeting for tonight. I am from Ward 17, and I am always interested in what's going on River Road. Thank you for allowing me to be present. I'll stay in the background and probably get some light on in here too. I'm not prepared to be here, but I'm going to be here anyways. Thank you.
Okay, Janine Malto.
sure.
Hello.
Hi, Janine. Tell us where you live and how long you've been in River Road.
I live at I live at 643 Park Avenue.
Okay.
Sorry if it's not looking right. It's not.
That's okay.
And I've lived here. And my daughter was 6. I lived here, and now she's 33. My daughter was 6.
Wow. Okay. Mark Malaska. And if you're not speaking, could you please mute yourself because we're getting some feedback. Janine?
Joshua or John, I believe you can mute people as well.
I don't know. Good.
I guess we need to do that, Joshua. Could you mute folks and we'll ask them to unmute when they want to speak? Okay, is there anybody else I've missed? Beth?
Beth Giroux. I live on River Road and we've been here for over 40 years.
Okay, Julie Hume.
Julie Hume, and I've lived on River Road for, let's see, 38 years. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, please unmute yourself and introduce yourself because I've lost track of whose names are whose. So.
Dwight Owens, I live off of Maxwell.
Thank you, Dwight. Anybody else who needs to be introduced, please do so now.
Hi, I'm Drew. I live on Maynard Avenue, and I've lived in the neighborhood since 2015. I own a home here.
Great,
Since then.
thank you.
Gary Reber on Heritage Avenue for about 6 years.
Thank you, Gary.
Yeah, Mark Malaska here on Howard Avenue since 2016.
All right. Have we done everybody? Okay, well, let's move on to the agenda and the adjustment I pre-mentioned. And once again, if you have not signed in on the chat with Charlesy, please do so. The instructions are there in the chat. Again, it's important because this gives you the right to vote for future meetings and also records who has attended our meetings for the city. So that's important. So please do that. Thank you. Our original agenda included finding out what's going on with this North Eugene High School. We'll have to save that for another day, but our agenda currently is Howard Avenue redesign, accessing resources at the Eugene Public Library, and getting to know our own River Road Santa Clara Volunteer Library. So the next step is announcements. And if anyone has any announcements to make, please raise your hand and I will call on you to make said announcements. I see Jolene has her hand up. Would you like to unmute yourself and make your announcement?
I will. Hi. So I just am reporting that on the Social Justice Committee, because apparently this is when we do a committee report. So we met in April and we're planning to meet again on May 11th at 5 p.m. And primarily we'll be reviewing our mission statement and some end goals for the rest of the year. I wanted to add that, sorry, that's my dog. I wanted to add that there is an upcoming work party at El Camino del Rio River Road Elementary School on May 21st. That's a Saturday from 9 until noon. And it's a school garden party cleanup project. So we're inviting everybody to attend. This aligns with goals for the entire neighborhood, first of all, in terms of connecting with the schools and also doing outreach to a more diverse community. So if you would like to join us, some of the committee will be at the school garden at River Road El Camino on May 21st. I can put that in the chat. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Susan, I see you have an announcement to make.
Yes, hi, everybody. A couple announcements. First of all, one of the things that we're looking to do is try to provide more recycling options for people in the neighborhood. One of the things that we need in order to do that is we need to understand if any of you are 2, 4, and 5 collectors for the city or for Lane County. If you are, I see Julie, you raised your hand. Thank you very much. If you would please put a note in the chat and send me your email, I'd love to get in contact with you. We do recognize that with Eco Generation no longer doing events, many of you are eager to get rid of your 2, 4, and 5 plastic. And we would love to help you do that and maybe organize and make something a little bit more organized for the neighborhood. So again, if you or anyone you know in the neighborhood is a registered 245 collector or is interested in being a 245 collector, please send me a note, and that's Susan Kittleson. And the second thing I wanted to let you know is that we have a print newsletter that is going to be coming out. It is going to be in homes on June the 10th. If you have content that you believe it should be in the newsletter, please send a note to myself or to Charlesy Cartwright, and we will chat with you. We already have a number of things in the newsletter, but we do have the ability to potentially get a few more things in. So if you have any events that are happening after June the 10th, please let me know what those are so we can get them on the calendar. And if you have any content that you would like to see included, again, please let me know, and I will put my email in the chat window. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Susan. And Julie, you have an announcement too, I suspect.
I do. I just wanted to give a brief update on the Willamette Greenway Subcommittee. We've been meeting and discussing regularly and researching, and we're in the process of drafting a letter that we hope will get endorsed by the board after we get some feedback from them. And some of the, to give some highlights about some of the key points we've been discussing is we hope to get the River Road neighborhood declared a special area zone. And we hope that we can get building setback lines 200 feet from the river top bank. We want to have a limit of 3-story buildings in interfacing with the greenway, with building length a maximum of 80 feet. We want to have minimum standards for tree canopies and landscape requirements, including use of native species as well as size of installation of plants. And we also are looking at pervious surfaces for parking lots. In addition, we want to encourage and ask for context sensitive design so that it'll be compatible with our neighborhood. We do not want to have any private access connectors between properties and through public lands and then going onto the bike path or other public entities. And we hope that we will be encouraging the Parks and Open Space Department and other private conservation and environmental organizations to purchase lands within the Greenway for preservation and restoration purposes. So that's a brief summary. And if you're interested in learning more, you can contact me. I will go ahead and put my address in the chat. Thank you so much.
And if people are interested in giving us input or joining our committee, can they also do that with you, Julie?
Yes, they certainly can. Thank you, John.
Thank you. Okay, I don't see any other hands up. Does anyone else want to make an announcement? While we're waiting to see if they do, I will make the obvious announcement, which is we're in an election, folks, and if you haven't voted in the primary, make sure you do so soon. I think next Monday is the end of the opportunity to vote. So you can drop off your ballots at the River Road Park District, put them in the mail, and this year you can even mail them on the day of the election and they will count. So please make sure you vote. Okay, I don't see any new hand. Oh, I do see a hand up. Katrina.
It is Tuesday, the 17th. That is election day.
Elections are always Tuesday. Forgive me. Thank you.
And postmark counts this year.
Right. That's right. Thank you for clarifying that. My bad. Okay, we had hoped at this point to be hearing from Shane Rhodes about Howard Avenue. Is Shane here? I don't hear Shane speaking. So our other item was to hear from Will O'Hearn from the Eugene Public Library, but he had hoped to come on later. Is he by any chance here already? Well, okay. Rick, I guess you're our speaker for the moment about the River Road Santa Clara Volunteer Library.
Well, thank you. Can everyone hear me okay? Yeah, I'm on the board of the River Road Santa Clara Library. We're at 105 Oakley Lane. We're your local community library. We're not total nonprofit. Memberships are $20 a year. We are in the River Road Water District building. There's a sign for the public library for heading southbound on River Road. There is no sign if you're heading northbound because of some cities' bureaucratic regulation. So we have approximately 80 members at this point. We're always looking to add new folks. We're entirely a volunteer organization. No one is paid. Everything is done by folks who are simply volunteering their time. Towards that end, we have various fundraising efforts. basically, we're a partner with Fred Meyer. I don't have a PowerPoint presentation, sorry, so I have to read my notes. So also, we are an Amazon charity list. Most important thing is upcoming events. June the 4th, Ryan Meadows neighborhood sale. We will be there selling books and other miscellaneous thing. Friday, June 17th, the River Road Schools Out Carnival. Wednesday, June 29th, we are operating with Eugene Emeralds. We have we are one of the featured nonprofits that day. If you go to our website, which is RRSC Volunteer Library, you can purchase a ticket and we will get $5 for each ticket. Also, July the 30th, we have a big open house where we invite folks to come and tour the library. Actually, the River Road Community Organization has had a table there in the past. We hope to see you guys there again. But it's our big open house. We have events, books, and all sorts of other goodness. Art of the Art Bus will be there. We welcome people to join our library. And that's about all that I have to say. I will show you this is our website, which I guess you can't see. But anyway, once again, it's rrscvolunteerlibrary.org, and we are your local community library. Thank you.
Any questions for Rick? Beth?
Do you take donations?
Yes, we accept books, but please no more Louis L'Amour.
Rick, what types of books do you have?
Well, we actually have a wide variety. Let me see here. Let me compare my notes. We have approximately 15,000 items, which includes books, and we have audiobooks. We have a lot of children's books. We also will be featuring, starting in June, through a generous grant from the Lane Library organization or fund, we will be featuring children's activities on Saturdays, including storytelling and various other things. We are looking for new books, but preferably newer fiction and nonfiction. Basically, the problem is that we have to purge the shelves periodically, and a lot of what's donated, unfortunately, isn't really usable. But we are looking for newer fiction and newer nonfiction. We do accept donations, and we can issue you a charitable receipt for the IRS.
Great. Any other questions for Mr. Rubin? Okay, thank you very much for your service, Rick, and making that library work.
Well, the person who really thank is Carissa Nelson, who's our fundraising chairman person, and she works overtime, believe me, to access grants and funds that are available. Because many of you may remember, once upon a time, when Lane County was flush with timber funds, there was a bookmobile, big red and white moving van that was converted to a library. And of course, when the timber funds dried up, the library went away. But we are the successor to that.
Indeed. And of course, the fee to join the city library is significantly larger. Great. Well, let me ask again, do we have either Shane Rhodes or Bill O'Hearn with us at this point? I haven't let them in, so I suspect they are not. Well, it's 7:30, and we have this rare opportunity of open space, and the question is, what do we do with it? And vamping off the top of my head, let's use this as a feedback session for anybody who wants to raise their hand and be recognized and tell us what they think River Road Community Organization should be doing or not be doing. And you can have 1 minute to make that presentation. So if that works for everybody, why don't we try this out? And we'll do this for 20 minutes or so, and hopefully our speakers will show up. Does anyone want to raise their hand? Well, I'll go first. I would love us to reinstitute our net committee. That was our neighborhood enhancement team. We
Right.
had it going strong. And
Just seemed to me there was a whole
Rick,
shelf of
thank you. What NET was doing was we had an agreement with the city that they would not apply herbicides in the West Bank Park in order to deal with exotic species that might take over, as long as we manually controlled them. And that agreement is still in place, but frankly, we don't have the organization to make that happen. So if you are interested in joining up in NET, just type your name and NET into the chat. We'll capture that, and hopefully we can help get that reorganized. I know that a lot of people are not excited about having pesticides in our public parks, so and also exotic species for that matter. And maybe we can even spend some time getting some of that ivy out of the trees that are starting to take over. So that's my hope for the neighborhood. Let's see, who's got their hand up? Sandra Gladney.
Yeah, sorry, as I mentioned, I'm sick. I was pressing the wrong buttons there. For those of us who are kind of new, what does it mean to say we're interested? Is it that you're willing to work at a work party, or?
That's most likely with this group, Sandra. In the past, we've had 2 or 3 parties a year, either planting new trees or taking care of an invasive species. So once we get started again, we would contact you and see if we could find a time when you're available to help out.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Kat.
Hey, John,
Kat,
it's a random question, and I don't know if this is the right place for it. But since River Road's turned into a speedway, there are no speed limit signs from Maxwell past Arbor Horn. And I was wondering if there's anything that we could do, or is this even the right place? I don't know, just throwing it out there.
well, that's a great idea, Kat, and we'll put that in our to-do list to contact the city transportation department. Thanks.
Cool, thank you.
Okay. Susan.
Hi again. One of the things that on the board we're discussing is how we can become a little bit more active with some of the younger people that have moved into the community, some newer folks that may not be as fully versed in what we're doing on the board, in the communities, et cetera. And one of the things we've been discussing is social media and whether or not we can start going. I see 1 thumbs up. That was nice. Thank you. I like that. We're looking to see, get more information out on social media. So the question I have for folks, and you can pop this in the chat, you don't need to scream out or anything, is, which social media platforms are you predominantly using? Facebook is one that has been typically used by the community. However, there are a number of folks that have kind of revolted against Facebook and have left it and use other vehicles instead. So we just really would like to get some understanding of not only which social media vehicles you utilize, but what type of information you'd be interested in seeing via social media, whether it's just getting fun pictures of our neighborhood and trying to show more videos and photos of events, activities, a treasure hunt, a neighborhood hunt. There are a lot of different things we could do, and we'd really appreciate your suggestions, because we think it's very important to try to activate as many of the new people that move into our community, as well as renters that move into our community. They're still part of our neighborhood, and we want to make sure that we're reaching out to them. So thank you in advance for any feedback and suggestions. We appreciate it.
Okay. I have a message here from Pat and Carlene suggesting I say a little bit about the pilot parking program that we're hoping to get restarted in the area around Echo Apartments. Our neighborhood plan will encourage building more apartment complexes along River Road such as that. And one of the things we recognize is the city has a policy about limiting the minimum amount of parking required in a housing development so that folks will be encouraged to use transit. Well, that would work well in most neighborhoods, but in our neighborhood, we don't have streets that are up to city standards. So there's no place for any overflow parking to expand out to if that's necessary. And we found that to be the case with Echo. So we actually worked with the city to get them to annex the right of way of the streets around Echo so that they could institute a parking program to prevent the problems they were having of people parking in the street because of right of way issues, parking too close to stop signs and corners, and in some cases, actually parking in people's driveways. Because we are not part of the city for 90% of our streets, it would fall on the county to enforce parking rules, and the county doesn't enforce parking rules. So we had hoped that the city would work with us to put some sort of a parking program in place around Hatton. And that was the intent. And then COVID hit, and the parking department is revenue based. And since nobody is going to work in parking downtown, they had no money in this language. But if we're going to have a neighborhood plan where we anticipate more parking needs in the neighborhood, we need that program. So we are hoping to lobby the city council to institute a parking program for our neighborhood as part of their budget for the next fiscal year. So when we make that effort, we'll put something in our newsletter and encourage you to write out to the city council to indeed put that in the budget. So long and involved, but important. So I'll stop with that and move on to Julie Hume.
Hi, I'm hoping that our neighborhood can continue to come together and be creative in solving neighborhood problems, as well as finding ways to enhance and protect our greenway. And in light of that, I just want to remind everybody that we have a volunteer work party this Saturday at Razor Park from 9 to noon. And we have tools and other things available, and we have a wonderful time getting together and continuing to restore the Oak Savannah there. Thank you.
And that calls for a shout out to Becky Riley, who has been spearheading that program for years and years and years. She's really been diligent and doing wonderful things there, and all those of you who help her, including Julie. So here's a chance to meet your neighbors, do some good, and sort of work your way into net in a sort of way. Ellen Rifkin.
Well, this idea isn't very flushed out yet, but anything we can do to like help build community and people like learning about each other. I think there's probably a lot of variety from one block to the next about how much people actually know their neighbors or not. But I was thinking, you know, if the pandemic continues to ease up, we've talked about this a little bit in the Social Justice Committee also, like to do like a survey where we go door to door and actually find out what are people's needs and what do they have to contribute, like in terms of all kinds of things. Like what do they have to share in terms of tools, in terms of skills, and then what do they need in terms of maybe transportation or company, finding out about if people have experienced any kind of discrimination or feelings of not belonging, like all different kinds of things, just like gathering information, passing on information. I mean, some people are going to be suspicious, sure, but I just think we should promote connectivity.
Great. I wonder if by the time summer comes around, we might be ready to have a neighborhood picnic again. Something to think about.
Yeah.
Does anyone else want to raise their hand and take advantage of this free time opportunity? Fred Miller. You're muted, sir.
I play pickleball at River Road Park, sometimes on Saturdays, sometimes on Tuesdays and Thursdays at the Methodist Church on Maxwell. And a bunch of the guys there that play are interested. Could the high school build some pickleball / tennis courts indoors or outdoors, or maybe outdoor courts at River Road Park? We'd like to see that happen.
All right. Well, Fred, we'll try again to get someone from 4J to talk about the North Eugene High School rebuild. That'd be a good time to lobby. So stay tuned, maybe next month.
Okay.
Thanks. But it doesn't mean you can't call them and ask them now. Good deal. Anyone else wishing to take advantage of this free space opportunity to lobby for your thoughts? Rick?
Is there anything that can be done to improve pedestrian safety and access in the short term on River Road?
Well, you threw in short term, Rick. I was going to answer that if and when MX is built, they're proposing to put in several more crosswalks. But if it moves forward, it's going to be at least 5 years before construction occurs. So this summer, we will have a new crosswalk built across Hatton. Unfortunately, it's because of a warrant, which means a justification for putting that crosswalk in. And unfortunately, that was someone killed on New Year's Day a year ago trying to cross River Road. But nonetheless, we can still ask for more. And that, like the idea of getting speed limit signs, is a good idea.
What about getting the speed limit lowered? When we moved out here, the speed limit was 30. When the city assumed control of River Road, it went right up to 40. And now it's back down to 35, but I dare you to drive 35 on River Road.
Yeah, I'll admit that I drive a couple of miles above 35, but no more than that. And I'm getting passed all the time. You're absolutely right. And enforcement is another possibility as well. And the city did annex all of River Road, which gives them the right to enforce speed limit signs. And we just need to remind them of that opportunity for them.
Once upon a time, there were motorcycle cops, and we remember seeing them enforcing the speed limit. But I don't know whether it's on account of COVID or budget or whatever, that's gone away.
Noted. Carol Hockman. And if I mispronounce your name again, I apologize. We'll come back to Carol. Dan, I see your hands up.
Yeah, I just wanted to say on the issue of safety on River Road, they also switched out all of the lights from the yellow street lights, which are not very safe, to the white lights, which add more lighting. They're also LED, so they take up less energy, and so you can see further objects further away. So that is somewhat helpful. I know that when I talked to the city, one of the things I was looking to have some discussion about with them about was that the crosswalks right now have flashing lights on either side, which can be you can get a little blind to seeing them, as opposed to some of the other technology in Portland where the whole pathway of the crosswalk lights up. It doesn't cost that much difference according to an analysis for them, and so they're looking into that, which would kind of facilitate a little bit easier use of that and fewer accidents toward the was it Project Zero? Is that what I believe it is?
Vision Zero.
Vision Zero. Yeah. So the idea of having 0 pedestrian deaths over a calendar year in Eugene.
Right. That is a goal for both the city and the county to get to Vision Zero. That's an interesting idea. So the crosswalk itself flashes as well, Dan?
Yeah, it's an LED strip that goes up the pole and then across the strip and then up the sign on the other side. So as you're driving, your whole illuminated space lights up in front of you, as opposed to lights that are on either side, which you can get a little blinded to. I'm just as guilty of that, especially having not been around them as much when I first moved here. There were several times where all of a sudden there's someone walking in my pathway because I just don't see it, as opposed to the entire space in front of you.
Interesting. Good idea. Carol, your hand is up. Would you like to make a suggestion, request, whatever? You're muted, Carol.
Gosh.
There you
okay.
go.
There we go. Okay, I'm sorry. Change of subject. I just wanted to bring something to folks' attention. I heard on the news a person in a canoe had been lost around the Owosso Bridge area. The last day or so. I don't know if people are aware of that or are walking the West Bank bike trails or anything like that. But you might want to be aware of that.
So any canoes that beach themselves south of Owasso.
Or a lost person, yeah.
And a person, ooh, yeah.
Yeah, that's always concerning to me. I don't want to find that person if they're not in good condition. But anyway, I just heard it on the news and I felt some alarm for that situation.
Yeah, water's high, so be careful around the river.
It's really, really high right now. Yeah. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. I guess the good news about that is our snowpack is 170% of normal right now. So let's keep our fingers crossed for no pineapple expresses between now and the summer. But nonetheless, the river is high, and be careful. And if you see anything that might help with that person or persons, that would be wonderful. Okay, Dylan and Sherry. Yes, Sherry.
Yeah, forgive me if this is come up before. I'm new to the neighborhood, but and it's kind of random. But you know those blue bike share stations?
Right.
I don't think there are any super close, but I would use those if we had a station closer to River Road. So I would love to have those closer. Is that just something I would contact them as a private company, or is that like a neighborhood issue?
The bike share program had been administered by Peace Health, but now it's moved into another organization that's contracting with the city. And as far as I know, they don't have anything out here. When Irish Place was built, they looked into trying to get some bike shares for their site. I know the program is intended to be expanded, but certainly letting them know that we're interested is a positive thing, and we'll take that up at the board. Thank you. Charles.
Yeah, I was just, oh, excuse me, am I muted? I was just going to piggyback on that suggestion. I sometimes have visitors from out of town, and it would be so cool for them to be able to bicycle with me. And I don't know of any nearby opportunities for that. Thank you.
Yeah, and actually I'm on the board of BEST, Better Eugene Springfield Transportation, and we are housing their program. So I'll just drop down there and talk to them about that and see what I can find out. Thank you. Anybody else? Well, maybe I should do a shout out and find out whether Shane is here or whether William Ahern is here. If so, please speak up now. And if not, we'll go to Jolene.
I was just going to suggest, do you want somebody to contact the speakers to see if they have the updated contact, get in the meeting info, or it seems odd that two people haven't shown up?
Yeah, I can do that. I have their emails. I don't have their phone numbers, but I can try sending them an email message. So Dan, can I turn the program over to you while I'm doing that?
I would need a little bit of lead up to be able to do that.
I know. I just threw that in your lap. We're still doing the same thing. We're asking folks for suggestions. And if you want to vamp yourself, that's cool too.
Sure. I'm fine to do it. If you want to hand me over.
I'll give you control, yes.
There you go.
Okay, where did it go?
I feel like I'm back in 5th grade. The teacher asked me to talk about the book that I did not read. So let's do this.
Joshua, can you give Dan co-chair or co-hosting, please?
You know, I think that privilege is reserved for the host. I don't think I can do that.
Okay, so.
You could just leave it open and while you make some phone calls and just mute yourself if you want.
Okay, I can do that.
So one thing I thought of off the cuff here is, for those who don't know, I also serve as the chair or the president of NAMI, which is the National Alliance on Mental Illness. We used to do these a lot before COVID happened. We obviously stopped doing them when COVID happened, but we do these things called community forums. They work a lot like City Club, where we invite stakeholders, neighborhood leaders, folks who are knowledgeable on a particular subject or in need of a conversation on particular subjects related to mental health. We pick a spot in the city where we want to talk. For example, we're going to be doing one on youth mental health for 4J. If there is something specific in the neighborhood that you think that has a mental health component to it, whether it be rest stops or youth or isolationism, depression, whatever it is, you're welcome to message me. We're putting that calendar together now. There's really no shortage of ideas or interested parties in wanting to do this. So it seems like a very timely topic to put some folks together around. And I think it's a good way to not only talk about mental health, which is important, but also bring our neighborhood closer together by talking about issues that are pretty much affecting everyone in one way or the other, especially coming out of COVID. So thoughts about that as well. I'll go to Dylan and Sherry.
Hey, we were just wondering how to find out more information about the Zippo noise. I think that it was discussed in the past, but I wasn't there. So
Yeah, I know that there are a couple of city councilors who themselves have come out with their own information about that, and it's been in the news lately. When John comes back, I'm sure he has some information that he's got.
I can actually, Daniel, there is a meeting on I believe it's on May the 23rd. I'm going to get the information. But there is a meeting on May the 23rd about Zippo. That's my understanding. And they're also on Nextdoor. If you can hear the Zippo, you can join Nextdoor. There is a subgroup on Nextdoor that has lots of information about the Zippo issues. I think it's called the humming noise or Northwest Triangle humming noise. You can look for it. I highly recommend you could check that out and join that little group. They have lots of information and they're keeping us very well informed of the conversations they're having with the folks at Zippo. There will be an article in the newsletter, the print newsletter that's going to be in Homes on June 10th. There will be an article about the status in that newsletter. I just don't have it yet, sorry.
And Susan, when you said there is going to be a meeting, that's a city council meeting, correct?
It's a city council meeting. It's my understanding, and they're going to be talking about it. So I'll try to get more of that information in just a moment and stick it in the chat window.
Thanks, Susan. Dylan, Sherry, did you have anything else, or is that okay? Great. Let's get some other thoughts here. Anybody else have thoughts of coming together? I think beautification would be interesting. I know we used to do those as well. I donated some plastic pots to that a few years ago. I think I have some extra I could do. But much like spring cleaning, there's kind of neighborhood cleaning after 2 years of being kind of cooped up. So maybe that's a thought we could do. Planting of native plants, picking up trash, other bad things that are out there, I'm sure. And again, ways to reinvigorate the neighborhood and get to know your neighbors. Sandra.
Yeah, I was going to ask Rick earlier about the library, and it didn't seem like there was time, but since there is time, Rick, what kind of patronage or who uses the library? Is it all ages? Does it tend to be younger, older? Their peak times, slow times? Just any summary about that?
Well, I don't really have that information, but basically, if you look at our website, you'll see our times. We're basically closed on Sunday and Monday, and our patronage is pretty much varied. As I said, during the summertime, we get a grant from the Lane Library Council. We will be having a lot of more children's activities. We do have tables and arts and crafts and community-based organization type things. And because we're a small organization, we can cater more to the needs of the community. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you. The hours are not 10 to 4 are not kid friendly, so I was wondering if it skewed to be an older population of patronage. I guess I'm just curious.
Well, we would like to increase the hours on Saturday to include more people, but because we're a volunteer base, most of our volunteers are older. Those are the times that coincide with their availability.
Understood. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm just going through my notes that I had from the last meeting. One thing that I thought would be kind of interesting is if we had in our newsletter a small business profile of here's a small business that is owned by someone who lives or works in a neighborhood, that employs people in a neighborhood, that just a blog that we can write down that we should all patronize and vote with our dollars and feet. I think that's kind of an interesting way to kind of support the neighborhood. So thoughts on that too. John, you were up.
Okay, thank you. I'll take over if you want, Dan.
Sure.
I did send out messages to both individuals, but I don't know they will see them anyhow. Sorry about how this is working out, but I think it gives us a great opportunity here as well. So about Zippo, we have talked to the Zippo representative, and he basically said, well, we're not going to do this. Well, we are going to do this in the future because it's a great moneymaker, and there's nothing the city can, well, that's not fair. There's nothing in the city's code that prevents us from producing this noise. So that's why we're going to the city council and asking them to do something. Our councilor, Claire Surratt, is on top of this. She really wants this to be covered. She has guarantees from the city manager that it will be a topic for that May 23rd, I think, or 27th meeting. But we hope that the rest of the city council recognizes the issue as well. The door opens towards the northeast. So we and Train Song are the ones that are getting the brunt of the vibration. And the city code doesn't deal with it because it deals with noise, which is at a higher frequency than the vibration that's having this impact. So hope is that the issue will be broached before the city council and they'll make something happen. When Dan mentioned beautification, we also get a fair amount of graffiti in our neighborhood. And if folks are interested in working on eradicating graffiti, that's something we've tried to bring together over the years. Hasn't quite happened, but if graffiti is your issue, please put that in the chat and we'll include that as an issue as well. So I will lower my hand and go to Dylan and Sherry again.
Thanks. Rick, I had a question about libraries.
Go ahead.
I'm looking around for digital content as well. And I found like a library to go, Oregon Digital Library Consortium it looks like just major libraries.
Unfortunately, we don't participate in that. That is something that has been discussed, and it's a very valid idea. And right now we have been unable to implement it, but it is a good idea. We have discussed it.
Thank you. Shava.
Hi. Yeah, you mentioned the graffiti, so that sparked an idea I've noticed around Eugene that I don't know who's responsible for it. It's probably the city. They've put up sort of graffiti canvases that are just available because obviously there's a need to do this kind of artwork. And wondering if there's a spot or a couple of spots that are visible and would give those folks that feel like expressing themselves in that manner an appropriate place to do it. Just putting that out there.
All right, thank you. Well, anybody else? Shava, you back again?
Sorry.
That's okay. I've lowered you and then you lowered yourself, which raised you again. Dan.
So I'm going to do the thing nobody wants me to do, which is meetings always have really great ideas, and then when it comes to who's going to be the physical human beings who sign up to help do it, everyone scatters to the wind. So who here would be willing to help out in any of the ideas that we had in any capacity? I would suggest that rather than taking up time, just put your name in the chat so that someone can memorialize it, and we'll reach out to you. But it's one thing to come up with ideas, but this is a volunteer organization, so volunteering is good. But we need actual people to get the work done.
Yeah, so if you will in the chat, throw your name in. Well, your name will be there and anything you want to volunteer for. Thank you, Dan. Reminds me of the book I read to my kids about the little red hen. Everybody's willing to help eat the bread, but not sow the seed, prep the ground, et cetera, et cetera. And our board is very hardworking and very dedicated, but we have limited capacity as well. So hopefully that you guys can volunteer. That's great. And thank you, Dylan, for being one of the first, and Sherry for being one of the first to volunteer. So we're in a strange position. I don't know what's happened with Shane. I know that William had a meeting from the the library had a meeting that he hoped would end at 8. So I'm afraid that if neither of them is here, and if so, please speak up, we're going to have to let you out of class early. And we'll try to catch those folks later. So my apologies. Charles.
Yes, I was going to say, there have been such great ideas shared. I just love what's happened here, even though it's unfortunate we're not getting to our agenda. But I would also like to tell the people who have spoken tonight or those who are listening, if you are at all interested in being on the board, our elections are in March. And I would really encourage you to consider that and be part of the leadership for our neighborhood organization. And reach out to people on the board if you want more information on how to do that.
And we're also dedicated to getting our website up and more usable so we can communicate via that way as well. Stefan.
Yes, under these circumstances, I would move to adjourn this meeting.
All right. Is there a second?
Second.
Chelsea, I assume you're seconding? No. Dan, are you seconding?
Dan seconds.
Okay, let's do this by voice vote. All those in favor of adjourning say aye.
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 Okay, all those opposed say no. It's the ruling of the chair that the vote has been made and the majority has decided to adjourn. I apologize, the agenda went kind of sideways, but that happens sometimes. We'll make sure it's better next month. Thank you, everybody. We are adjourned.
Thanks, everybody.
Have a
Great day.